All right, so we'll call meeting to order. Doug, if you can do up the roll call, and we don't see anybody here in the room for an appearance about something that's not on the agenda. And there's no one in the waiting room on Zoom, so we can close the appearance section. Minutes there are no minutes tonight for approval. At the next meeting, there'll likely be 2 sets of meeting minutes. So we'll go on to item 5, which is a public hearing by Alan and Lynn, Hop.
Finsberger.
Huh?
Finsberger.
All right. I'm just gonna call them Alan and Lynn for now on, and that's 5507 Goucher Lane, and they are requesting a variance from Monona Municipal Code Ordinance, section 480-24D 4A, and that's for the street yard setback for the purpose of building a new attached garage and a second floor addition to the main structure, and this is case number Z7 2024. And you guys have been here before, so you guys know the drill. During the public hearing section, it's a chance for you to kind of say, hey, this is what we're hoping to do. I know you have your designer here tonight that they can walk us through, like, this is the plans, this is what we're hoping to do. If there's anybody that shows up that wants to speak on it, we'll let them speak. Then we'll close the public hearing section, and then we will go into the consideration of action. And that's when you'll have feedback, and there might be some questions or discussion from the committee of the open statement. The floor is yours. You're welcome to come on up, and actually, please come on up because it's easier for Diane to see.
Thanks, everybody. You know, you've met Alan and Lynn before. I'm Mike Boer. I own and operate Guideline Studios here in Monona, architectural design firm. Alan and Lynn approached me a couple of years ago with a contractor, sitting around the kitchen table, had some issues with their house. You know, the garage was in disrepair. It was coming out of COVID. They were spending a lot more time working from home. Didn't have a lot of space. Love the city, love the neighborhood. The house is not functioning the way a 21st century family needs the house to function. So we set forth on, you know, coming up with some design solutions that would make the house more functional for them. One of the ideas that we came up with was an expansion towards the front of the house, which I believe they brought before you in the spring before this committee. I think you all gave some very good feedback, and from that meeting, my clients and I kind of sat down and went back and revisited the design and came up with a new solution, which I think will make a lot more sense as we go through this. So if you just give me a couple minutes, I'm going to refer to, I know you guys have a site plan from the actual the surveyor, but I've got a site plan in the building set of plans that I think makes things a little more clear. So I'm going to kind of walk through that, and then I'll just walk through the variance checklist that my clients and I put together for your committee. So if you look at the site plan, Goucher Lane, the house faces Goucher Lane, and then the side road, we call Ella Terrace, we call it the side street. You can see in the site plan, the outline in green is the existing structure. So there's a large rectangle faces Goucher Lane. That's the front of the house. And then if you walk around the side, you'll see the existing driveway off of Ella Terrace. There's 2 small green rectangles behind the house. One is an existing breezeway, and then the other slightly larger green rectangle is the existing garage. What we're proposing to do is to turn that breezeway into home office space. And we would do that by expanding out slightly away from Goucher Lane. And so that is what you see, the outline in red. And then we're also proposing to tear down the existing flat roof single stall garage and build a new 2-car garage that's got some living space above that. So that being said, and that's all the outline in red. You can see one of the new design considerations that we took into account was that corner of the existing garage, which you see in green. The new design, we wanted to make sure that the new corner of that garage was set back from that point. So we weren't any closer to the road than what's existing there. So the variance requested is an area variance of approximately 7 feet to the street yard setback on the corner lot. The property located at 5507 Goucher Lane. It just kind of walked you through the attached site plan here. The hardship unique to this property is the fact that the existing 30-foot street yard setback actually runs through the existing house. So it literally runs through the dining room, through the kitchen, through the breezeway, and through the existing garage. The corner of the existing garage sits about 7 feet beyond that setback line, that's furthest point. Given the location of the existing structure, compliance with the street setback would be unnecessarily burdensome on the clients and any future property owners. I will say in my 20 years of practicing architecture, this is the first time that I've come across this issue before where a setback actually runs through an existing house that was not an addition that was already granted a variance per se. So I think it is a case that's unique to this site. Plans, like I said, are to renovate and expand the existing breezeway in the garage. You've attached those. Be happy to answer any design questions you may have. Again, I reiterate the main point we were trying to get at was the corner of the new proposed garage would lie approximately 6 feet beyond the setback line. And the corner of the proposed office, which is the existing breezeway, would lie approximately 6.5 feet beyond the setback line. So the variance requested is in the public's interest because the proposed project will increase the taxable value of the residence. It will improve the quality and function of the home for the family and future families that reside there and will contribute to an enhanced neighborhood. The variance requested will not endanger public safety or welfare because the existing driveway and sight lines at the corner intersection will remain the same. And we're actually improving things slightly by pulling the garage back 2 feet. The variance if granted will cause substantial justice to be done by allowing the property owners to make significant improvements to their house while maintaining the character of the neighborhood. Proposed footprint would not be any closer to the side street than the existing corner of the garage, thus keeping with the intent of the setback ordinance. And I think with that, I will open it up to questions, or maybe then Alan, if you had anything else to add at this time.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
And let's see, anybody here for the public hearing section? So we close item 5 and move on to item 6, which is consideration of action by Alan and Lynn, 5507 Country Lane, and then we're talking about variance from the Monona Municipal Code Ordinance, sections 480, 24D, 4A street setbacks for the purpose of building a new attached garage, the second floor addition for the main structure. This is case number Z7 2024. Doug.
Thank you. So I would just like to mention the request here is a new request coming forward for the variance. As mentioned earlier this year, the previous request was denied. I have since worked with the applicants and with the architect as well to kind of take into account the feedback that was given, reading the minutes and some of the consideration that went into that decision. And you can see that sort of in the application that is put forward here. As far as the reason for the setbacks or for the variance requirement here, the setbacks, because this property does face 2 separate streets, you've got 2 street yards. So it would be a 30-foot 30-foot setback in front of Goucher as well as in front of Ella Terrace. And then there is no rear yard setback here other than a 7-foot setback. So on sheet 1 of the materials that was submitted, you can see the setback lines. These are correctly shown, and that sort of shows the buildable area and the options there for the applicant. The request coming forward here, although it is set back further than the existing, it is still an expansion of a non-conforming, and that is the reason why it is coming forward this evening for
And I'll just start off by saying, my initial conversation with Doug regarding this was a lot of the discussion that we had last time regarding this exact property, like what they were wanting to do. We were like, well, if he went back or he went sideways, things would be better rather than where they were. I'll open it up for Diane, so we don't forget about you. Do you mind going first? Because
I don't, because I have a few questions. I do, and I'm trying to recall if I was at that meeting, because I didn't, you didn't have minutes, Doug, so I wasn't sure. And I did see that it had been, there had been a request before, but I don't know that I was at that meeting. So can you tell me exactly what the initial ask was?
So the initial ask, it was similar to this. I would say from memory, it was closer to Ella Terrace. The improvements were closer to Ella Terrace. There was also a discussion, and I think these materials have shown it well, that the site survey shows, of course, the property boundaries, but it does not show the right of way, specifically in sort of how the curb is delineated there. And I'd say that's well done again on sheet 1. That sort of shows the depth there. There was quite a lot of discussion. And I think this was the April meeting of this year. March, thank you. The March meeting of 2024, there was discussion about kind of the driveway depth as well, in terms of the, could a vehicle be on there, and sort of sight lines and things like that. But I think a lot of that is shown in fact in the depth of the right of way here, that I think it's from memory about 14 feet, something like that. Additional beyond the property line before the curve of the street there. So I think that was sort of some of the reasons for the discussion. And I think a lot of what was presented during the public hearing is sort of responding to the feedback from that.
Okay, thanks, Doug. So a question maybe for the builder, and I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your name. How much was the variance in the initial ask? So this is like 6.5, it seems like total.
Yeah, so I'm Mike, by the way.
Oh, Mike, thank you.
Yeah, so the initial design, instead of going out to the side with the breezeway, the initial design came forward, I think an additional, like, I want to say like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Is where we came out. So when you couple that with the existing house is already 7 feet over the setback, it was fairly significant that over the setback that we would have been pushing that. So I think all in total, it probably would have been closer to 12 or 13 feet.
Okay. And then Alan and Lynn, Mike mentioned that you worked from home during COVID. Do you still work from home?
Correct. I've worked from home since 2005 full time.
And I now have a hybrid job where I work part-time in the office and part-time. Yep.
Okay. That's all I have right now then, thanks.
Thank you.
And I could provide a little context too with the design. Behind the existing breezeway, there is a bedroom. And it has, if you look on sheet 2 of the plans, you can see the existing house. And this really doesn't have anything to do with the variance, but there's an existing bedroom that has a single window, and that provides the natural daylight and the ventilation that's required for the code. So going back, designing back and expanding the breezeway that way was not an option, and that's why we came up with the original solution was to come forward with it.
That's like so right about here.
It is, yeah, right
Right
behind
to the-
Yep, yeah, it's right there. So
And that's for leaving the new, keeping the office in line with what existed.
yeah,
It doesn't compromise that bedroom, which was one of the design issues, compromising that bedroom,
yeah,
which previously had the 13 feet coming forward.
Yeah.
Which I think was
Got it.
a major concern, because Diane, and just for your kind of take on it, the 13 feet, they were 24 feet from the setback, roughly, like 22-ish. So when we were talking 14 feet forward, we were all like, well, wait a minute, you can't even park the car in that driveway.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of discussion about the safety of like that's a big safety issue to come forward that much, but seeing the additional driveway that's there in the right of way, in addition to now going backwards rather than forwards, I think it's greatly improved for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Brad or Whit?
I can go next if fine. Yeah, since I was here at the initial meeting, right, so I remember those first initial plans, and that, I think, for many seats, it was the safety of the driveway. Knowing most driveways are approximately 24 to 30 feet in length, that's a 30-foot setback minimum. And And most vehicles are 18 to 20 feet long. And that was a big consideration. Knowing that, yeah, looking at the plans now. And actually moving it back from the actual existing foundation of the house. It looks like there's a minimum of 24 feet, is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, so from the proposed corner of the garage to the lot line is 24 feet, and then there's the additional, I think it's like 13.
Yeah, it's
I think is what it comes down to, whether you're measuring the curb or the gutter or so.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm glad to see that. So taking note of that, I think those safety considerations were taken right from your seat. I appreciate that. And not trying to encroach any more onto the street, I think was a big question in our mind. So that was my big concern with the driveway consideration, and other than that, I don't have any other questions or concerns.
Brad?
I remember this one too. I remember the discussion about like, what are the site triangles, and we had a whole safety discussion. I remember this one being tough. And I'm trying to remember. If the nature of the lot. If the buildable envelope was. Pretty restricted or is in line with other. With other lots. Is my first question.
I do think one of the challenges here is the angle along Ella Terrace and the fact that it's not I'm gonna get the term wrong, but not perpendicular, it is cutting in, and so it is sort of eating away at those street yard setbacks and pushing that building. As is kind of shown on the setback line diagram there as well. So although we certainly have corner lots and the setbacks are set up for that, the relief, you get sort of the penalty in the front yard that you have 2 street yards, but you don't have the rear yard 40 feet, 40 foot setback. I would say that the angle along Ella is somewhat unique for that.
Okay. And then the second thought that I have is. Just about the garage. Because we have our factors, and is there a hardship? Is there unique physical property limitations, and it really have to be unique to the property alone, and the desire to have a larger garage. And this is a larger building, a larger garage is not specifically not grounds. To grant a variance, and then we need to find something more there. And I think the unnecessary hardship and unique physical property limitations sometimes can be a little bit muddled. And for unnecessary hardship, you have to find that you cannot use your property for a permitted purpose as it's presently zoned. Or that you're being unreasonably prevented from using your home as it is intended. So I think that's the burden, and that's really what I'm looking for. And for me, wanting to have a bigger garage isn't quite enough for me. Just to grant a variance, although this is an approved plan, I will grant you that.
Any other questions that came up before?
No, but Doug, just to clarify, so if they were to build a second story on the, the existing footprint, they wouldn't even need to be in here, correct?
They would.
Asking for a variance.
They would need to for anything forward of that setback line, so.
Right.
The line kind of cutting through the existing house shown in the green on sheet 1. Anything within that, absolutely you could build up to the 35-foot height limit that the city allows, but that kind of triangular portion that would need a variance still.
Okay.
And I also want to clarify, there's been no prior variances that have been granted on this property, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, I think it's a non-conforming property right now.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, that's the way I understand it. And you can replace the non-conforming, like if you could just replace the non-conforming garage, we would need a variance.
Exactly, but the expansion or so
Yeah.
one stall for one stall is similar height, but anything.
Yeah, for me, like the biggest discussion we had last time, and I understand, like, we always get hung up with the. Giving them a cheat sheet here, the hardship issues, but I think. The hardship issue, and I know kind of gets with the property limitation, I know those are the muddy pieces that is that right angle aspect of. Being able to do any type of expansion for modern use of that home. Has to go either. Well, we talked last time, it has to go back or to the side, and this is. Clearly doing some of those elements that we discussed at that meeting of. As long as we're keeping that safety issue in the driveway side and that street side. We know that the property is already non-conforming, but this is at least terracing back. In essence, trying to keep in line with the non-conforming piece already. I mean, not sure how it gets worded to meet our elements, but for me, this just looks, what was that we discussed at the last meeting as a positive improvement. Anybody willing to make a motion? If not, if there's additional questions or clarifications. This is always that tricky time of like, hang on, I'm trying to think about it, so feel free to have think time, it's okay. We don't always have to jump straight in.
I'll give a motion, probably want to clarify some of my wording as well.
Yeah.
Which normally happens. I'm gonna motion to pass the variance. Based on. Non-conforming property. That includes the severity. Of how the existing house. Is non-compliant with the existing setback requirements. And I see that as the hardship. Or trying to. Come up with any. Solutions. Buildable solutions. And they've done I think a great job of. Use the word terracing back. And in line with the existing structure. To try to conform the best they can with the existing property. Am I missing something?
The no harm to public interest.
And I see no harm to public interest. And with that, noting the setback that they have asked for.
All right, and is there a second so we can discuss?
I would like to second, but I am. So what was the hardship you came up with?
My hardship here is the actual severity of the existing footprint of the house. That shows how much it's already outside of the existing setback requirements. How he has it, how they have it shown in the dotted or dashed line, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, it's a
Yes.
setback.
Yeah. Do you see that, Diane?
Yeah, yep, I do, yep.
And
I
in the
mean, no
hardship-
harm to the, go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry.
No,
go
I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I'm just, stream of consciousness here.
Yeah, do your thing.
I'll do me. I also the no harm to the public interest because you've got several neighbors who have written that they're in support. I mean, they're neighbors all around you. I just wanted to add that to the no harm to the public interest portion.
So for formality's sake, do you mind making a second? And then you can have these as friendly amendments. And then we can have more discussion and clarification, just to help Doug with his note taking here.
I would second, yes.
Okay, second, and then it sounds like we have some possible additions to friendly amendment possible. So Diane, I was hearing that you were adding in the no harm to the public interest regarding that there's some of the neighbors that are agreeing to.
Yeah, there's written consent from 5 or 6 neighbors, so.
If I recall too, just an additional point of the terracing back, I've been driven through this neighborhood quite often just to check on your property. Make sure that we're building without.
As well as I am.
Yeah, sometimes we like to kind of keep our eyes on it, like, hang on, like,
Yeah.
what's
It's
that
happened.
really look like?
It's happening.
Yeah. And I would say like this terracing back does keep in alignment with a kind of a neighborhood kind of feel, like it's not a stick out, and we've talked about these down in what's the circle that we always talk about?
Birchhaven?
Birchhaven. Where, you know, there have been a variety of properties just because the way our favorite term, the meander line meanders, that there are some properties that just seem way out of whack. But they're building in a line with the neighborhood. And I think there is an element of that here, and I think that setback on Ella Terrace is a portion of like. It's different if you're squared up and you're only on Ella Terrace, it's easier to probably have that informative. Versus trying to meet it on 2 streets that are not at a right angle to one another. So, just another piece to add to it.
And our longest buildable front is actually on
Ella
Ella
Terrace.
Terrace,
Yes,
not on
not
Gaucho.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah, like if you scrapped everything
Yeah.
here, you would build your front of your house
Right.
the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
We have trouble with people when we have new mail people because we're 5507. Then it's Ella, but then the people right next to it, they're 5513.
Yeah.
And then across the street, they're 5510
Yeah,
and
so it does it-
5512. It does, they're missing a bunch of numbers in
Yeah.
between.
It seems like when they must have platted. this-
I don't know.
They said, oh, we're gonna do them this way, and then they're like, no, let's change this one. Then we'll get it approved at the city, they won't know. All right, any other questions or clarifications before we take a vote?
Can I just ask for clarification on the hardship, the public interest, just from the maker and the second for any unique physical property limitations, just for clarity on the motion, please?
Which part of clarity are you looking
Yeah.
for?
Are you looking for like the angle, less than, more than a 90?
I didn't
So
catch that as part of the post. Yeah.
I think acute is the proper.
Yeah.
It's cute, yeah, it's an acute eagle. Yes.
Perfect. All right, and any last questions that people have? Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor for approval, and Doug has in the minutes all the items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstain, 1, unless, depending on how you mark them down in the minutes, the motion has passed. You do need my vote, Doug?
Yes.
Aye. Great. All right, motion has passed. Congratulations, you can work with Doug. The next steps. We can close item 6 and we can move on to item 7.
Thank you.
Feel free to bail. You guys don't have to stay and watch. Do the next.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
And our next meeting is going to be October 17th and November 21st. And any updates or discussion regarding DEI efforts or sustainability efforts, and then any other stuff that you want to add in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So I'm aware we are expecting an application on October 17th, so if you can keep that clear on your calendars, please, that would be much appreciated. I don't have any staff updates for the DEI or sustainability efforts, but I did want to provide an update. I think there was some discussion had some tricky applications quite recently, and with the new members running the board, and just generally, I think I was in discussion with staff and also with the city attorney about any sort of training or guidance that could be offered. And so the plan had been to do kind of a brief overview, but then really open it up for questions for members to be able to go through that. Unfortunately, the city attorney has another commitment in another community Thursday nights around this time, on this Thursday of the month. But I would still like to be able to get something together, so I'll probably be reaching out with a doodle poll or something, depending on to figure out sort of availability. But I may well record it as well, just kind of internally, you know, sort of to have that recording there. But I think that would be valuable, and we'll be in touch shortly with that. It shouldn't be more than 45 minutes or an hour, but I think certainly hope that can sort of assist with some of these tough applications as well.
I forgot to introduce you. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, that's all right. Hi, everyone. Jesse Patton. I've been in Monona for a little over 6 years now. Live on Winnequa, back up into the back of Green Park. We live next to the empty city a lot. We live, I don't know, depending on how far back you go, Shirley Dalton's old house.
Okay. Next to the cut through lot.
Yeah,
We know it.
yeah.
No. Awesome. Maybe we can go around, just introduce yourself and
Yeah, that'd be
maybe
great.
give a small snippet of your background of like why you're here. When do you want to go first and then we'll just.
Sure. I'm Wayne Davies, live on Minmore, been here since 1990. Woo, it's a long time.
Feels like a long time. Some people would say you're still new.
Yeah, I own a family business here in Monona, and I have my family, right, as I mentioned, grew up here as well, so. Yeah, and so we're basically a full residential modeling contractor, so.
Great.
Yeah, so I can see, I look at plans most days. Yeah, most days.
Yeah, most is helpful. You already know Doug, Diane.
I'm Diane Steele. I live on Westgate. I retired in 2018 and joined the committee that same year. Moved to Monona in 2014. Lived in Madison always before that, so.
But really briefly.
Yep.
I'm an older serving on the committee, don't necessarily have the background in zoning per se, but I've been doing this in planning commission for at least 15 years. So. Got some sense of my.
Some sense, yeah. Brad Schweiger, we briefly met.
Yep.
I've been in Monona, I'm on Mesa Road, and I've been there for a decade. I've been on this committee, seems like forever. This is my second, I think my second term is almost up,
Is there a
or
term?
my third.
Is there a term?
There are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah,
Been on-
we just don't-
I think I'm on my third term. I might be on my third term, I'm pretty sure I'm on my third term.
There's no term limits, so.
There are no term limits, but I think I'm on my third at this point. Or I'm almost on my third, if the mayor will still have me. I'm a local attorney. I do, for all your family law needs, just open a new firm. So,
Congrats.
Richter and Schweiger opened up, in August.
Congrats. Wow.
Technically
Nice,
July
nice.
28th, but.
Great. I forgot that I am also an attorney. I don't practice locally. I work in-house for a company in Janesville, but.
I grew up in Janesville.
Okay. Oh, great. All right.
Mhm.
Nice.
What company?
Shine Technologies.
Gotcha.
They used
They used to be in Monona. Yeah.
And we still let you on here?
I don't know.
To take a big business like that out of here, come
But
on.
if it makes you feel any better, I did not work for them at the time.
Okay.
So,
No, you didn't work out the deal to get out of here.
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'd like to work them out a deal to get back in here.
Yeah.
That's how it works, but.
I didn't say any case law today.
And no sign of case law today.
I had it queued up.
Which I think will be really good for the training, because I mean, I think the one that. I think the one that applicants wanna know, and we all like wrestle with, is the whole idea around unnecessary hardship, because I think it's easy to say, there's nothing, like.
The court responded that the variance should not be granted because the hardship was created by the porch no more than personal convenience. The owner claimed that not being allowed to build the porch would be unnecessary hardship for 5 reasons. The Supreme Court of Wisconsin went on to say, growth of a family and personal inconvenience do not constitute practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships which justify variance. It is not the uniqueness of the plight of the owner, but the uniqueness of the land, which is the criterion.
So can I ask you? a
Snyder
question?
versus Waukesha County Board of Zoning Board
All of these seem to be out of
1976.
Waukesha, don't they? All of these things are gonna pull out.
Brett, can I ask you a question on
Waukesha.
that then? Because they weren't
Oh,
arguing
yeah.
necessarily that
I voted no.
no, I heard that.
All right, hang on. Let's close this meeting and then we can chat.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
So,
Misunderstood.
motion for adjournment.
Motion.
A second?
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
I.
Opposed? All right, meeting has officially ended.